Right now, as you watch this, your heart is beating somewhere between 60 and 100 times per minute. Over the course of a single day, it beats more than 100,000 times. And with every beat, it pushes blood through approximately 100,000 kilometers of blood vessels that run through your body. That network is your lifeline. And the single greatest threat to it is not dramatic or sudden. It is silent, slow, and almost completely invisible. Until it is dangerously advanced. Cardiovascular disease remains the leading cause of death worldwide. Approximately 18 million people die from it every year. And the vast majority of those deaths trace back to one underlying process: atherosclerosis. The gradual narrowing and hardening of arterial walls, caused by the buildup of fatty plaque. The frightening part is that this process takes decades to develop, and produces almost no symptoms during that time. Most people do not know their arteries are compromised until they have a heart attack or a stroke. But here is what makes today's conversation different from everything you have probably already heard about heart health. Science has now clearly established that specific foods can intervene in this process, at a biological level, reduce arterial inflammation, slow, or even partially reverse plaque accumulation, and restore the flexibility and function of blood vessel walls. And measurable changes can begin appearing in your body within as little as 2 weeks of consistently eating them. The foods we are talking about today are not exotic supplements or obscure ingredients available only at specialty stores. They are common, affordable, and accessible almost everywhere in the world. What makes them remarkable is what they do inside your blood vessels at the cellular level. And that is exactly what we are going to break down today. To understand why these foods work, you first need to understand the basic mechanism of arterial blockage. The innermost lining of your blood vessels is coated by a single layer of cells called endothelial cells. When these cells are healthy, your arteries can dilate and constrict on demand, regulating blood flow, blood pressure, and oxygen delivery throughout your body. The problem begins when oxidized LDL cholesterol starts embedding itself into the endothelial lining. Immune cells rush in to clear the damage and become trapped, transforming into what researchers call foam cells. These foam cells accumulate into soft plaques, which harden over time, narrow the arterial passage, restrict blood flow, and if they rupture, trigger the blood clots that cause heart attacks and strokes. 3 biological processes drive this entire cascade: oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, and endothelial dysfunction. The foods we are about to discuss target all 3 simultaneously. The first food is garlic. And before you dismiss it as too ordinary to be powerful, consider what the data actually shows. When you crush or finely chop garlic, you trigger the release of a compound called allicin. Allicin acts directly on endothelial cells, stimulating the production of nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that causes blood vessels to relax and dilate. A meta-analysis pooling results from 20 clinical trials found that garlic consumption reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 5.1 millimeters of mercury. In people with hypertension, reductions of up to 8 millimeters of mercury systolic and 4 millimeters diastolic were recorded. To put that in perspective, a 5 millimeter reduction in systolic blood pressure is associated with approximately a 14% lower risk of stroke and a 9% lower risk of heart attack. Beyond blood pressure, a randomized double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial examining aged garlic extract found that it significantly reduced the volume of dangerous, soft plaque in the coronary arteries. This means garlic does not only improve blood flow, it directly influences the plaques that are already built up inside arterial walls. To maximize garlic's effectiveness, chop or crush it, and allow it 10 to 15 minutes of air exposure before cooking or consuming it. This window allows all in to fully convert into allicin, even if you cook the garlic afterward. And the allicin itself breaks down under heat. Beneficial compounds, including ajoin, are formed during cooking and retain meaningful cardiovascular effects. 1 to 2 cloves per day is the reference amount used in research. The second food is pomegranate, available year-round in juice form and rich in a class of polyphenols called punicalagins and ellagic acid that are among the most potent antioxidants found in any food. These compounds aggressively inhibit LDL oxidation, which is the very first trigger of plaque formation. In a clinical trial involving patients with confirmed carotid artery stenosis, people who consumed pomegranate juice daily experienced up to a 35% reduction in carotid intima media thickness, which is the measurable thickness of the arterial wall, and a primary marker of atherosclerosis progression, over a period of 1 year. During that same year, the control group that consumed no pomegranate juice saw their artery wall thickness increase by 9%. The difference between these two trajectories, a 35% reduction versus a 9% increase in the same time period, represents one of the most dramatic food versus no food comparisons in cardiovascular nutrition research. The standard reference amount from studies is approximately 240 milliliters, roughly 1 cup of juice per day. It is critically important that you choose unsweetened, or 100% pure pomegranate juice, since products with added sugar can undermine the cardiovascular benefits. If you have concerns about blood sugar, eating whole pomegranate seeds reduces the glycemic impact, while still delivering meaningful polyphenol content. The third food is beetroot. Its vascular mechanism is elegant and direct. Beetroot is exceptionally high in dietary nitrates, which your body converts through a two-step process, first into nitrite and then into nitric oxide, the same vessel-relaxing signaling molecule triggered by garlic. In the largest randomized controlled trial, examining beetroot juice in hypertensive patients, 4 weeks of daily consumption reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 9 millimeters of mercury. That is a reduction comparable to the effects of some pharmaceutical antihypertensive agents. Additionally, beetroot juice has been shown to improve endothelium-dependent vasodilation, which means it restores the ability of arterial walls to expand appropriately in response to blood flow, a key measure of vascular health that degrades with age and disease. Beetroot can be juiced, roasted in slices with olive oil, shredded raw into salads, or blended into smoothies. If your urine or stool appears reddish after consuming it, this is caused by the betalain pigments in the vegetable, and is completely harmless. The fourth food is oats. You may already eat them for breakfast, but the specific way oats protect your cardiovascular system goes well beyond general healthy eating. The key compound is a soluble fiber called beta-glucan. In the digestive tract, beta-glucan forms a viscous gel that physically binds to cholesterol molecules and bile acids, preventing their reabsorption and forcing the body to use circulating LDL cholesterol to produce replacement bile, thereby clearing LDL from the bloodstream. Research shows that consuming at least 3 grams of oat beta-glucan per day reduces LDL cholesterol by an average of 0.25 millimoles per liter. In a 6-week study, responders experienced LDL reductions of up to 18%. Since each 1% reduction in LDL is associated with approximately a 1% reduction in cardiovascular event risk, an 18% LDL reduction carries very significant protective implications. Oats also blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes, which is important because repeated glucose surges damage endothelial cells and accelerate the oxidative stress that drives plaque formation. Cook oats in water or unsweetened plant-based milk, and top them with fresh berries for an additional layer of anthocyanin, antioxidants that directly protect vascular tissue. The fifth food is extra virgin olive oil, and the distinction between extra virgin and regular olive oil matters enormously for vascular health. The monounsaturated fat oleic acid in olive oil is well known, but the real vascular power comes from the polyphenols, particularly oleocanthal and hydroxytyrosol, which are found in high concentrations only in properly cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. These compounds suppress vascular endothelial inflammation, inhibit LDL oxidation, and reduce the adhesion of oxidized LDL to arterial walls. A study published in 2025 confirmed that high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil significantly reduces LDL oxidation, while lower polyphenol refined olive oil failed to produce this effect. This confirms that the grade and quality of olive oil you choose is not a matter of taste preference but of therapeutic relevance. The reference daily amount from studies is approximately 20 to 25 milliliters, roughly 2 tablespoons. This video is for general educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional regarding your specific health situation.